Hey mamas! So today we're going to work on 3 poses that can help with overwhelm. And while we do the poses, I'll tell you why they can help with overwhelm. All you're going to need today is some space for yourself, and if you have yoga blocks, you could grab 2 of them. If you don't, then you can grab 2 firm pillows. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is our hips. So we're going to come into a pigeon pose. So how to do that is you're going to come onto your hands and knees, and you're going to bring one shin forward. I'm bringing my right shin forward. Your knee is going to be wider than your hip, and you're going to point your foot like a ballerina. Then you're going to walk your back leg as far back as you can. Then you're going to come down and rest your head down. So this is a really good pose to do if you're feeling overwhelmed, because it's a grounding pose, and we tend to hold a lot of our emotions physically in our hips. So this is a really good one to do. And if you're having low back issues, it can really help with that as well. If it's really tough, if you have really tight hips, you can always prop yourself up on your block or your pillow, and you could just put it right underneath your butt. You're going to hold it for like about 10 breaths. And then when you're done your breaths, you're going to take your time to switch your legs. So when you come out of it, you're going to just give your leg a little shake out. So I didn't spend 10 breaths there, so you can always pause the video if you're doing it with me and spend as much time as you want in that pose. And then you're going to bring the other leg forward. So remembering to make sure your knee is wider than your hip. Angle your shin back and point your toes like a ballerina. Then walk that back leg as far back as you can. Then come down and rest your head. So the other reason why it can be a really good pose to do if you're feeling overwhelmed is when you are resting your head down like that, it can help you to relax. It can help you to remember to take some deep breaths just for yourself. And oftentimes, because our hips can be very tight, it can make you be very present in the moment, and your mind might not wander. You might be thinking about the stretch you're getting in your hips. So once again, you're going to spend the same amount of time on this side, so about 10 breaths or more if you spent more on the other side. Then when you're ready, when you've finished having equal time on both sides, take your time to come out of the pose. Give your leg a little shake out. Then we're going to come into our next grounding pose. So this is where you're going to need your props. So if you have blocks, we're going to do a back bend, a supported, relaxing, calming back bend. So if you have blocks, you're going to set one up on any of the heights along your spine, and the other block is going to be a pillow. So remember this, the purpose of this back bend currently is to help with overwhelm. So you don't have to think about trying to push your boundaries and be acrobatic. So you can keep it nice and low if you want. I'm going to have it on the medium height, and I'm going to have the pillow block on the medium height, I'm guessing, and you can always change that up. If you are using pillows, one is your bigger, more firm one is going to be under your back, and the other one's going to be a pillow. So you're just going to set up your block or your pillow really close to your butt. Then you're going to lie back onto it, and then you're going to lie your head onto your pillow block or pillow. Then you're going to let your arms be in any position that feels comfortable for you. So the reason why this can be a really good pose to do when you're overwhelmed is because our backs get really sore because we're slouching all day long. So this pose really helps to do the opposite of slouching, and it helps to open our chest, pull our shoulders back since they're forward for most of the day, and once again, you are lying into something and you're lying on the floor or the ground. So that can give you some of that grounding that we need when we are overwhelmed. Plus, it can feel like really nice, especially if you're using a pillow. So it can be one that you can relax into. And when we're overwhelmed, it's hard to find relaxation sometimes. So in this pose, I would recommend staying at least 10 breaths once again, but maybe longer if you have the time and if it feels good for you. And you're just going to try to find really deep breaths here. And then to come out of the pose, you're just going to bend your knees and roll onto your side. So you roll off of your blocks or your pillow, and you could just take a couple of breaths in a semi-fetal position. And then we'll move on to our last grounding pose. So you can move your props out of your way because you don't need them for this pose. You're going to lie on your back and we're going to do a twist. So I'm very close to a wall. If you are too, just make sure you have enough room to open your arms out into a T or like a cactus position like my arms are right now. Then you're going to let your knees fall over to the side. I'm letting mine fall over towards the right. You're going to try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. You're going to look over towards the left. If you want a deeper twist, you can cross your left leg over your right. So this one is a really good one to do when you are feeling overwhelmed because, like I mentioned before, we tend to be slouchy, especially when we're overwhelmed. And when we're slouchy, our backs can hurt. And when our backs hurt, that just makes everything else worse, you know? So being able to do the twist can really help with back pain. And it's like a way of thinking of wringing out all that overwhelm and kind of starting new. And when you're lying on the floor, once again, it is very grounding. So I like to stay in this twist for 10 breaths. So that's the theme of these poses, staying for 10 breaths. And, you know, that's kind of a longish time, but it's not like too long where you can't find the time to take 10 breaths and then feel a little bit better, right? So when you finish your breaths, you'll come back to center and then you're going to switch sides. So this time I'm going towards the left. So my right shoulder is staying on the ground. And for a deeper twist, I'm crossing my right leg over my left. Then I look towards my right. Then you can notice to yourself, I like to reflect on this while I'm doing this pose if one side feels different than the other. For me, because I carry my baby on my right side is totally a lot more compressed than my left. And I feel a whole lot of pops and cracks when I twist, especially in this direction. And you can notice if you feel equal or not, and then you can reflect on why you don't feel equal if you don't feel equal. So once again, you're going to stay for about 10 breaths. Just make sure it's about equal time on both sides. Then you're going to come back to center and you're going to hug your knees into your chest, giving yourself a big squeeze, and you could stay still or rock from side to side or make circles with your knees. If you choose circles, go in both directions to stay even. And then you can get on with the rest of your day. So it might not be a full yoga practice, but it's 3 really good poses to do if you are feeling overwhelmed. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments. And if you liked this one, you can hit that subscribe and you can check out my other videos. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.